Hey, what's up, everybody? This is actually going to be a Chikara related video once again, and I wasn't planning on actually making this video, but the last two Chikara shows that just came out were really good, a lot better than I expected. They were great wrestling shows, to tell you the truth, but at the same time, they really get you pumped up for the pay-per-view. So definitely check them out. I'll briefly touch on them, but before I get to that, let me just say, Chikara's internet pay-per-view is called High Noon. It's going to be taking place Sunday afternoon, November 13th at 4 p.m. So right before the Dragon Gate show that night, you could definitely order it, and it's a pretty big deal. I mean, let's face it. I mean, this is their first champion. After 10 years. They've been around since 2002, so this is pretty much 10 years in the making. They've never had an official singles champion. We'll finally get to see it. Mike Quackenbush versus Eddie Kingston. Really excited for it. I'll probably do like a proper preview right before the show. I really just really excited for it. So yeah, for this video, I figured I'd just do something a little bit different. I'll quickly review the two shows that just came out. But before we get to that, the 12 Large Summit Tournament, it's officially over. Everything is in the books. You guys could try to maybe pick up some of the DVDs or try to download certain matches, just to kind of familiarize yourself, just to get you pumped up for the pay-per-view, because we're seeing the culmination of the tournament that's taking place on the internet pay-per-view. So yeah, the 12 Large Summit Tournament, I thought it was really underrated. I think a lot of great pure wrestling matches took place on this tournament. So I actually put together a list of the top 10 matches from the tournament. So it's in the description. I mean, maybe you guys could just read along here. I'll just briefly talk about it. So at number 10, I'm actually going to go with Fire Ant versus Jigsaw. This is from Chikarasaurus Rex King of Sequel Night 1. And yeah, this was pretty sweet. It really was a hot opener. And Jigsaw was injured at the beginning of the tournament, and then when he came back, he lost like his first couple of matches, so he really got off to a bad start. And it'd be kind of interesting to see what they'll do with Jigsaw now. He seems very frustrated, like his character right now. He's very frustrated with what took place during the tournament with all the losses. So we'll see what happens there. Fire Ant, I got to give that guy credit. He put on some great performances throughout the tournament. I thought he looked great. Throughout this whole tournament. So number 9, I'm going to go with Jigsaw versus Ultramantis Black. This is from Klunk of Love. I'll talk about this in the review, but Ultramantis Black, actually, this is a huge opportunity for him, because if he did win this match, he would have advanced to the finals of the tournament. So yeah, that was a pretty big deal. Number 8, I'm going to go with Mike Quackenbush versus Sara from Small But Mighty. Yeah, I'll also talk about a little bit more about this in the review, but yeah, Quack was really almost kind of heelish in this match. I think LV said that, and I kind of agree with him. And this is where Quack officially advanced to the finals. He secured himself a spot in the finals with this match, actually. So number 7, I'm going to go with Claudio Castagnoli versus Sara. This is from Chikarasaurus Rex King of Sequel Night 2 from Philadelphia, and yeah, a really cool story here. Sara and Claudio were members of the BDK, and finally they faced each other, and there's a lot of tension here. Sara, I don't know, I guess if you've been following the storylines, Sara's kind of let the BDK down a couple times by screwing up the finishes and losing tag matches. So everything culminated to this match, and it was really it was just really cool. Claudio played an awesome heel here. So Sara actually got the upset win and beat Claudio Castagnoli. So just an emotional match. And if you've been following the BDK storyline over the last couple of years, you would definitely feel really emotionally invested in this match. So number 6, I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston versus Jigsaw from the same show, Chikarasaurus Rex King of Sequel Night 2. I thought the Philly crowd was kind of dead on this show. A lot of people kind of disagree with me, but without that, Eddie Kingston and Jigsaw had the hardest hitting, one of the hardest hitting and one of the most brutal matches from the tournament on that show. So that was number 6. At number 5, I'm going to go with Mike Quackenbush versus Ophidian from A Demon in His Pocket. Yeah, Quack was just in a lot of really good pure wrestling matches throughout this whole tournament. I really thought he and I said this last year. I said I wanted to see Quack in a lot more singles matches. in 2011, and we got it. And so I was really happy to see it. He worked with Ophidian from the Osirian Portal, who is extremely talented, and he really showed a lot since Omasis. I think Omasis got hurt, and he's been taking a hiatus. So Ophidian really stepped it up this year. So yeah, definitely check out Quack versus Ophidian. A really just a sweet matchup right there. Number 4, we're going to go with Ultramantis Black versus Fire Ant. This is from Chicago. The case of the Bulletproof Waldo. Surprisingly, this really surprised me. I didn't expect it to be this good. This is probably the most brutal out of all the 12 Large Summit matches. I mean, some of the stuff they did was just really just make you cringe, and they're really definitely probably the best match from that show. So yeah, definitely check it out. Number 3, I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston versus Fire Ant from Martyr Yourself to Caution. This is the main event from the Manhattan debut. And yeah, I really thought, Eddie Kingston's promo on that girl and and all her friends right before the show, they were kind of, booing Eddie Kingston in his hometown. And, Eddie really ripped this girl apart. And I thought it really brought the crowd to life. I thought it really, you have people chanting for Fire Ant, and then part of the crowd was chanting for Kingston. So it just really, I thought it was a good main event. It kind of went a little bit too long, but just another awesome showing from Fire Ant, and it was really stiff, and it really, kind of slow at some points, but I thought it still really got the job done. Number 2, we're going to go with Mike Quackenbush versus Claudio Castagnoli. This is from Chikarasaurus Rex, King of Sequel Night 1. Some people kind of think it's overrated, but I was thrilled to see Quack and Claudio go at it for the first time since I've really been following Chikara, so I really appreciate it, probably more than some other people did. So, and then at number 1, I'm going to go with Quackenbush versus Hallowicked. This is from Anniversario and his amazing friends. Probably the one of the best pure wrestling matches of the year. I mean, it was just a work of art. I really thought it really flowed nicely. I think it was, somebody said this, I guess it was Double Cross King, or I think it was him. He said that this is like your nice friendly rivalry with the two guys, that pretty, I guess, Hallowicked, probably one of the first students from the Chikara Wrestle Factory. Him and Quack going at it. It's just really just a nice, fun, competitive match. So I thought that was definitely the best match from the tournament. So, yeah. All right, so I'm just going to briefly touch on the shows that just came out. We have Chikara's Small But Mighty. This took place in North Carolina. Really, one of the funnest and easiest to sit through shows that the company's put on all year. But I'll just, touch on the really good stuff. The show really picks up in the second half. You get Mike Quackenbush for Sara from the 12 Large Summit Tournament. Yeah, I talked about how Quack really was kind of heelish in this match. He really dictated the tempo. He really controlled most of the match. Sara was definitely a fan favorite. The fans wanted to see her kind of overcome Quack's submissions and his, Quack. I guess he said this in his promo that he's always trying to play a game of human chess with his matches, and that's kind of how it felt like. And it was very methodical, wasn't very fast paced, but I still thought, I was into it every step of the way. Quackenbush, when even in his matches when he wrestles slow, he still does it in a way, with his submissions and with everything. It just really makes you care about every single thing he does. So yeah, last couple minutes really picked up. Quack kind of told the story of, this match is more important than, your typical Mike Quackenbush match. So he really kind of seized the moment and really went for the kill. He slapped Sara right in the face, and it was, you just, you don't really see Quack with this much aggressiveness and with this much of a sense of urgency in a lot of his matches. So it was kind of a breath of fresh air, and I really liked it. So yeah, Quack versus Sara, awesome stuff. The other match from this show that I'll talk about, I'll just talk about the main event. We have Fist versus Osaka Pro of Atsushi Kotaji and Daisuke Harada. Fist and Osaka. I'm sorry. Yeah, Fist and the Osaka Pro Tag Team at King of Trios 2010 and 2011. They, pretty much almost stole the show on both King of Trios, and really, both teams have great chemistry, and we finally got to see them. They do have history, so we finally get to see a match for the Campeonatos de Parejas, the championships, 2 out of 3 falls. And this was great. This is everything I expected the Fist versus Quack and Jigsaw match at New York City. I expected this to be this type of match, with, they got time out there. This is more of a, not your typical Chikara match. I think Trademark mentioned this. This is kind of like, they kind of went away from the Chikara, style here, and it was just let these two guys go out there, have an awesome match, great drama, great near falls, just great action. A little bit of I'm not gonna say comedy, but just a lot of I would say kind of heelless tactics from Fist. They try to get Osaka Pro disqualified, and they tried to fake the low blow just like they did in New York City. So I thought it was cool how they played off of that. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to say this is the best tag match Chikara's put on all year, and probably the second best match of the year for Chikara. So yeah, definitely check it out. Alright, so next up we have the Tennessee show. It's called the Klunk of Love, and really, really good stuff, man. Don't sleep on the show. I would say this is actually even the better show from the double shot. So yeah, R.D. Evans from the Embassy and Ring of Honor. He's actually playing this really awesome character in Chikara. He's called Archibald Peck, and he's going to be taking on Coca Cabana at the pay-per-view. They're doing this whole thing with he's bringing out a mascot called Coca Bunny, so it's bringing a little bit of interest to their match at the pay-per-view coming up. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. Aside from that, we had Osaka Pro actually took on the Colony right before intermission, and yeah, this is sweet. I would say the Osaka Pro team looked great in both of their matches. I say great booking by Chikara. If you're going to get Osaka Pro coming in for one weekend, I say put him against Fist and then put him against the Colony. I think they did a beautiful job. I was fine with that. Next up, for the 12 Large Summit match, you had Jigsaw taking on Ultramantis Black. It was really good. Not really your typical Chikara match. It was pretty brutal, but at the same time, the best part about this was the story going into it. Jigsaw actually had a really tough time. He came back off of an injury, and he lost like his first couple matches of the tournament. So he wanted to take all his frustrations out on Ultramantis, and he really showed more of a sense of urgency to win this match than Ultramantis Black. Black actually won the match, then he would have advanced to the finals of the tournament. So, a lot was at stake in this match, and it was really a really important match. So, yeah, Jigsaw pulled off the upset, and it was really good. It was really, pretty hard hitting for, your typical Chikara match. Next up, we had an 8-man tag match. You had BDK taking on Sugar Dunkerton, Eddie Kingston, Mike Quackenbush, and Green Ant. So, it's kind of, a lot of elements here. A lot of feuds really progressed. Green Ant and Tursus, they're having a match at the pay-per-view. They did a huge portion of the match focused on them just brawling all over around the ring. You saw some tension between Eddie and Quackenbush. I think Eddie accidentally slapped Quack in the face, and that actually cost him the match. I would have liked to see some more stuff between Quack and Eddie Kingston, maybe on the mic. Maybe they did that the last couple of Chikara shows before the pay-per-view. I'm not sure. But, yeah. But, about these BDK matches, I have to give credit to Tim Donst, man. I'm not the hugest Tim Donst fan in the world. I've never been, thrilled with him. I think he's kind of overrated. I think a lot of people just kind of make him out to be, the next Kurt Angle or whatever. But, I don't know. I think he needs a little bit of work in the ring, but he is losing weight, and he definitely is improving. And on the mic, man, he's I can't deny it, though. He's awesome on the mic. He's got a lot of charisma, and they're really kind of, building him up as not only the leader of the BDK, but I would say now that Claudio's gone, probably the top heel in Chikara. He's pretty much the only one left, with guys like Brody Lee being injured and stuff like that. So, but I still would like to see someone turn heel at the pay-per-view. I think they. I don't think Tim Donst is good enough to be, the only top heel on the roster. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, give a lot of credit to Tim Donst on both shows, both tag matches with the BDK. He stepped it up big time. So the main event, you had Sara versus Kana, and yeah, great stuff. Kana really showed me a lot. She's definitely comes across with a lot of confidence. She knows what she's doing in the ring. And yeah, it just really, two women out there in the main event of independent wrestling show, dominated by men, and got a great reaction. Definitely the match of the night, and Sara best match of the year, probably the best women's match I've seen in the United States ever. To my recollection, I think this is better than any women's match that ever took place in Ring of Honor, which isn't really saying much, but still. You know, I think the bottom rope was missing, and they just went out there, told a great story with, you know, man, it was just really brutal as well. You know, they really took it to each other. The crowd was into it every step of the way. I can't emphasize how good this was. This really blew me away, to tell you the truth. It definitely, I'll give it a solid 4 stars. I really believe that. So really, and I think Trademark talked about this, kind of really sets the tone for Joshi Mania coming up. Yeah, you could have, you know, 2 women going out there in the main event, and they could definitely got the job done.